So it is Cern Basher and hello, Cern Basher. And before you even get started on your slides, I mean, I just now, breaking news, another phenomenal combination, another partnering that has to be unbelievably positive, something that's going to just take the country by storm. It is Uber now signing up Lucid with a $300 million, I think, contract or partnership. I think that's the number. Just because I just read it. They're going to buy a bunch of Lucid cars. They're going to put the Lucid Robotaxi, software in the cars. So this, I'm certain that this will be as good as like Mary Barra and some of her decisions. Anyway, what do you think?
Yeah, I think with that announcement, that's peak excitement. I think it only goes downhill from here.
I'm sorry to kind of, get in the way of all of the fun stuff that you had planned for us today. But I mean, Uber, is this a desperation move? I mean, Lucid has to be one of the most poorly run companies I've ever seen. Um,
Yeah, my sense right now is that Uber is throwing some things against the wall to see what sticks. It sounds like they've been told in no uncertain terms that Tesla is not interested in partnering with them,
yeah, yeah. So they're just
even though they were trying to hold out the olive branch to get Elon to bite. I don't think he did, or maybe he even went back to them and said, "Please stop. You're just embarrassing yourselves."
actually, yeah. Well, he did say it publicly, so I don't
Yeah,
know whether they've had more conversations since, but yeah, he did
yeah.
make a public statement. Yeah. Anyway, well, we'll see. We'll see how all of this plays out. But I thought that was an interesting breaking news story. So, what else is on your mind today?
Well, I have some other breaking news I think that's more relevant for
Oh,
Tesla, actually.
okay.
But we'll start in the way that we have in the past, but we haven't really lately. Let's start with the good old Cybertruck.
Actually, I saw either this picture or a similar one with this red. I was impressed.
Yeah, it's pretty sharp.
Yeah.
Not sure that I would drive this, but this does look pretty cool. It's pretty striking.
Well, my last car, as my kids called it, my last car, because the Tesla that we now have is my wife's car, even though it's now our car. My last car was a burnt red. That's definitely in my bailiwick.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was going to make a joke about that being appropriate for the Los Angeles area, but maybe that's too soon. Yeah. This one's probably more suited to me in terms of my profession,
Exactly. Yeah.
but I'm not really sure I'd want to drive this around.
It's like fun that it goes into the window.
Yeah, and this would be even better if this was where they had the broken glass, you
Right.
know, and then the stock goes down. Broken glass, I guess, would be right here. Um, and then we've got this one in the Netherlands, I believe, or yeah, it looks like it. Cybertruck is great for carrying around flowers.
Oh yeah. Wow. Lots of flowers, huh?
Yeah, it's perfect. Perfect angles and everything.
Oh my goodness.
So we're discovering more and more uses of the Cybertruck, and this one is just a good traffic cone.
Wow. Yeah, no kidding.
Can't
Whoa.
miss that.
Yeah.
That is probably the safest vehicle on the road there for many reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Safety
And
fellow.
and then after we saw Starship, some people were saying this would be pretty cool in a Cybertruck, and here we go.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, this is from Tesla King. How soon can we make this happen? He asks.
Oh, okay. So this is an AI.
I think so,
Yeah, yeah.
but I'm sure that somebody could come up with this in, a
It's
few
not bad.
hours.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's got a look, kind of a look.
So now that we've got the Cybertrucks out of the way, so we have a little discussion in recent days about Optimus being 80% of Tesla's value.
Yes.
And you can imagine my surprise, Randy, when I heard this.
No, you weren't surprised at all. Neither was I.
Right. And it was funny because JC says, and this was on Labor Day when this came out, he says, you just sent all the Tesla spreadsheet nerds off into their offices to do math, and their families have no clue where they are now on Labor Day. And my response was, relaxing today. The work has already been done.
Yes, the work has already been done. Well, it's pretty funny because this morning I was doing this in my head. I think I've done it correctly in my head. Brian Wong was the first, and now a lot of people are saying that we might sell over 500,000 cars in the third quarter and the fourth quarter. And that would be over 100,000 cars more than the street is expecting. Now, I don't know, maybe I should ask Siri before I say this, but if you figure $3,000 profit per car, I believe that's $300 million in additional profit. Did I do that right?
Extra 100,000
Times
times
3,000.
Yep.
So that's 300 million, right?
Yep.
That's 10 cents a share over the 2 quarters. So it's only a nickel a share. Now, nickel's not, it's a thing, but it's not a huge benefit. I mean, it's not a giant thing. And then I thought, okay, well, Brian Wong and others, in fact, maybe even you, are suggesting we could be at 50 gigawatt hours of energy in the third quarter and maybe 20. Did I say 50? I meant 15. Whatever I said, I meant 15.
15.
20 in the fourth quarter, which we easily 10 more than the street expects for those 2 quarters. That is probably around $2.5 billion in additional profit, which would be like 80 cents a share.
Yeah. So now we're starting to get to things that matter, right? This whole notion of Tesla's not a car company. It's certainly not driving its future.
Right. Driving.
Right.
Yeah.
It's certainly nice to have more cars sold in the short term. No one's going to complain about that, but it's not the thing to focus on.
Exactly.
Yeah. And again, as this chart shows that I was talking about last week, if you look at the sum of the parts, this is looking at profit in 2035 per my model.
Yes.
Right. And Optimus here is pretty much exactly 80%. I think it was maybe 78.5% or something like that.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Right. Robotaxi is the next most important part. Robotrucking could be the third.
Right.
Energy storage. Hopefully it's larger than what I have here, but certainly very significant.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then I think the revenue from Autobidder, profit from Autobidder could actually be larger than the auto business.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's 2 little boxes there on the bottom right, service and other. And then the yellow one, the bright yellow one, is the semi. If they sell semis,
I see.
They will sell semis, but I think hopefully that they'll be put into the robo trucking service rather than just being sold to customers to drive.
Yeah, no, I mean,
At that point.
It's so hard to know what Tesla's plans are in this regard, as we have nothing from Elon on this, but leasing, renting, or otherwise putting robotaxis and Optimi into fleets that are owned by the company. It just seems to be this. What people may or may not think about is that right now the TAM is so massive, and the ability to fill the TAM is so narrow.
Yeah.
That this fleet idea might not last forever. 10 years from now, it might be better to sell Optimi and sell trucks. But in the early innings, in the first probably 5 to 10 years, it seems like renting them or leasing them is like so much better for the bottom line.
Yeah, Elon said that they would do both with Optimus. So the question is, over what time frame, I guess, does that happen?
Right.
And that's what you're exploring right now. My belief is that Tesla should essentially just rent them, lease them in the short term, or when they first start to come out, because I think what will happen is the Optimus will actually get more valuable as it gains skills.
Yeah.
And so if you sell the bot, then you might be giving away some of the upside, unless you have also a model where you're charging some monthly fee for upgrades or skills or however they're going to do it. I'm still not convinced that we're going to have like an app store for the bot.
Uh-huh.
I think this notion of the app store goes away.
Uh-huh.
This is kind of what macro hard is getting at.
Yes.
The opposite of Microsoft.
Yes.
That will just kind of spin up software apps on the fly. AI will just create it. We won't actually have to create apps. It'll just happen in real time.
Lots of conversation about that on various pods over the last weekend.
Yeah.
So Elon has started another conversation, and the idea, and we might have seen it today in Salesforce's stock going down dramatically on very poor guidance.
Yeah, and Mark Benioff was talking with Elon yesterday.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
right? So I'm sure there are some interesting conversations between the two of them,
Right.
right? And then this is from July 25th, so fairly recent. And Elon is saying here that, Keith Fitzgerald was suggesting that Tesla is headed toward $20 trillion valuation. I agree with him.
Right.
And Elon said extreme execution is needed, but a valuation of 20 trillion for Tesla is possible. Um, Again, depending on the time frame, if Optimus is 80% of this, then that's 16 trillion just for Optimus.
Yeah, so we can go back and look at other things that Elon has said. He has also said that he thought Optimus alone was worth 25 trillion
Yeah.
market cap. And he's also said that Cathie Wood is right about her valuation for the Robotaxi part of the equation, which is about 7 trillion. So that would give us a 32 trillion.
Yeah. No, and my models show that, 100 trillion plus is possible at some point.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So again, this is from the video of the meeting yesterday with Elon and Mark Benioff. We saw a new color of Optimus.
Yep.
Now, of course, this isn't the latest version that they haven't rolled out yet, but I'm sure it exists somewhere.
Right.
And this was with Optimus with hands that weren't really useful for anything,
No.
just prosthetic hands. Certainly nice to see a different color Optimus, and we certainly know that we're going to see Optimus in all the colors that you can possibly imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention clothing at some point. I think they'll
100%.
people will be able to dress them up.
Yep.
And certainly the video itself wasn't particularly impressive.
No.
But the voice was Grok voice. The robot seemed to have a little difficulty in terms of moving. It needed more space before it would move, and that's kind of a safety thing, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
But all these things will be addressed and fixed. What we're seeing here is again the robot at its worst. It'll only get better from here.
Well, generally speaking, when Elon does a demo, as you mentioned earlier, with regard to the Cybertruck, usually if Elon Musk is trying to show off something, there's always going to be a glitch, apparently. Yeah.
Right. No, that's just the nature of these things. And he's mentioning here, as Elon's commenting, saying it's going to walk a lot faster too.
Right. Right.
Kind of walked off fairly slowly, but so anyway, that was good to see. And then, of course, bigger news is that the Robotaxi app is available to everybody to download.
100%.
And so I went in and downloaded it, and here's a screenshot
Okay.
of the app. When you first go to it, it's quite clean and nice. So I signed in using my Tesla account.
Okay.
So you can do that. You don't have to create a separate account. You just use your Tesla account. So for Tesla vehicle owners, this is very seamless.
Okay.
And then you get to the screen where you need to review and agree.
Mm-hmm.
And it does say if your ride is taking place without a safety driver present in the driver's seat, it's being conducted autonomously.
Right.
So they feel the need to tell people that up front, even though you're signing up for Robotaxi. That seems pretty obvious, but I guess the lawyers got a hold of this and said, we need to tell people exactly what's happening here. And you have to be 18 years old
Mm-hmm.
to do this. And if your ride is taking place with a safety driver present in the driver's seat, it's being conducted using FSD supervised.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to agree to this and consent. And then it shows you the service area. So in Austin now we have, I don't know what that is, a bit of a horseshoe shape, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
It's expanding. And then when you click on that join waitlist button, you get a little bit of confetti.
Yeah.
And it says success. You're now on the waitlist.
Uh-huh.
And then you can just see here, Randy, I'm not sure if you can see the cursor, but on the right edge of the screen, there's another little edge of a map visible. And if you scroll to the right, then you get the Bay Area
I see. Okay.
service map.
Okay.
A lot of people missed that. A lot of people thought that this was just Austin, but you had to scroll to the right there.
You have to be clever.
You have to be clever. And then they're reminding people that you can enjoy media in the car with your own account. Oops, I hit that. And so that's good. With your account securely accessible only to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's an encouraging sign.
Yeah.
Rolling out the app for everybody. Now, this was kind of interesting. This is related but different. This is from Steve S. And he says, my 9-year-old son knows Tesla. I'm assuming, yes, on family board game tonight, the game of life. And
Yeah.
he just said he wanted his car to have people in the back. He's fully aware of FSD and cyber taxis, cyber cabs. Um, and he says, thanks to the key influences in the space. And Randy, you're listed there. But you know what? We should come up with a new game of life that includes robotaxis. There's an
100%.
opportunity, a business idea for somebody.
Right, right. Yeah.
It's time to update these games.
Oh, we could update the game of life a lot. We could have all
Yeah.
kinds of AI versions of things. Hmm.
It'd be the robots getting rides and robotaxis and robo vans and robo trucks and yeah, everything. Yep. And I suppose instead of payday, it's universal high income. Is that what we're headed towards?
Oh, yeah, universal high income. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Someday you and I are just gonna have to do an entire show on that. But I think it'll be after the book comes out because I have a very extensive chapter on the
Right.
millions of jobs that are coming that are
Yeah.
going to be much more exciting than stack. I was in the grocery store early this morning watching these young men stacking stuff on their knees on the floor, putting away stuff on the shelves. And I thought to myself, this is really better than working in a factory. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah. And then another development here today, we've got at Polymarket, will Tesla launch a driverless robotaxi service by October 31st?
Yeah, look at that.
And we had a pop here from 30, high 20% up to one point close to 70. When I pulled, when I saw this was at 66%. And then I went to Polymarket and looked at it. That had actually dropped to 63 by the time I got there.
Okay. All right.
Okay. And then if you look at the will Tesla launch a driverless robotaxi service in 2025? So this is by December 31st.
Right.
That was at 72% when I went there.
Hmm.
Okay. And then shortly thereafter, Elon commented on a post by Dirty Tesla, and he says the safety driver is just there for the first few months to be extra safe. There should be no safety driver by the end of the year.
By the end of the year.
Now, this is in California, I think he's referring to. This is a post regarding San Francisco.
Okay.
So I think this applies to the Bay Area.
Okay.
Okay, and he's saying safety driver.
It says for the first few months. We've already been over 2 months in Austin, few generally meaning 3 or more.
Yeah. Right. And so then what does the Polymarket do with this new information? It took it from 72 and dropped it down to 70.
Oh, funny.
Yeah. Now, maybe it hadn't fully reflected it, although I guess I can look at it real time. I have it on my screen here. Currently, as we are recording this, we're at 77%. So it has gone up since then.
Right. Okay.
I was just too soon. I thought the market would instantly reflect Elon's comment, and it didn't.
Took a minute.
Took a minute. I guess I could have traded this in the meantime.
Yeah, you could have. That's right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's at 77% as we're recording this now.
And
so it did go up after this comment from Elon.
Right. 740,000 in volume. That's a lot of money betting on this.
Yeah. It's 744,000 now. Yeah.
Okay.
And then of course, this is by June, same question, by June 30th of next year.
Oh.
It's only at 82%.
Interesting.
So
seems like a pretty good.
There seems like there could be an opportunity between those two numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as I'm looking live now, it's at 81%. So it's held about the same.
Wow.
And then this is will Tesla launch robotaxis in California in 2025?
Only 19.
Only 19.
Wow.
Yeah. And if we look at that live, it's at 20% right now. Well, sorry, it just jumped to 28. It's at 28%. So it has gone up quite a bit.
All right.
Based on Elon's comment.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, but still only 28%.
Yeah. I'm not a betting man, but that seems like a pretty good bet.
It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Again, it says, publicly at the bottom there, publicly launches a self-driving taxi service. So I guess that must mean no safety driver, no safety monitor.
Yeah.
Is that what that would mean in order
to? And the public allowed. Yeah.
Yeah. Seems like the wording of these things isn't so precise, but
Sometimes it is. It depends on the way.
yeah. And then this is regarding will Tesla launch unsupervised full self-driving to, Tesla consumers
Oh,
by October 31st. We've got an 11% chance of that. By the end of the year, we've got 21% chance.
okay.
And by June 30th of next year, we've got a 40% chance. So expectations are still pretty low on this one.
Yeah, and maybe this really reflects maybe these Polymarket. I've been just had a long conversation about this with Brian Wong. It seems like there's an opportunity to use Polymarket. Well, apparently, as you are right now, you could use Polymarket as part of your set of judgments about the stock market. We're getting lots of trends here. These are almost like polls, only some people say they're better than polls because people are, willing to put their money where the mouth is. And the questions you get, you can see the questions, so you know exactly what people are responding to, as opposed to a lot of polls. You don't really know what the question was and how it was asked. So what do you think? Is there an opportunity to start asking Grok to do some analysis of various polls and put that in terms of how it might impact stocks?
I think there will be over time. I'd be a little cautious now on this. I mean, you can see here the volume of this particular one is, $500,000.
Yeah,
That's a drop in the bucket compared to the value of the Tesla stock that trades every day.
right.
So the stock market is, a lot more activity. It's reflecting a lot more diverse opinions. Most people probably aren't even familiar that this poly market exists.
Uh-huh.
So you're not really getting the breadth and depth of opinions expressed here. And certainly from a dollar perspective, it's tiny. So I would be careful with this. I think it's interesting to talk about,
Yeah.
but until we get, more serious volume in these markets, I would be cautious.
So we're just about apparently to get United States capability of playing in these markets. So that came down yesterday, I believe. Polymarket made the announcement that the federal government was going to get out of their way. So I don't know what the launch date is, but once we add the U.S. population into this market, I would guess that these numbers will jump.
Yeah, no, I think these types of sort of crowdsourced markets are very interesting. And it opens it up, from a stock market point of view, also from sports, you could have, get people's opinions on every aspect of every game,
Yeah.
which is kind of interesting. So I think we'll see this really flourish in the coming years.
So I mean, just to give an example, right now I'd be looking at these numbers that you just showed us. And the numbers you're just showing us would suggest that the public that's playing in this game is seeing that Elon is not close in his estimates of when these things are going to happen. So Elon has said unsupervised will be ready by the end of the year for consumers that own FSD.
Yep.
He has said that well, you just gave the quotes with regard to Robotaxi in these markets. So people aren't buying it. And that would suggest that these people might, if to the extent that these are the same people that are playing the stock, that these individuals, and this might be kind of an indication of where the stock market overall might be thinking about these issues, and which would, in my way of thinking, suggest that the stock is, if anything, undervalued at this point.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, again, based on the modeling that we've done together, I think that's pretty clear, right? When you run a present value and you look at, in order to get a present value equal to the stock price today,
No.
we are backing off our models massively to get there.
Right.
Right. So it's clear that at this point, the market views as Elon as a boy who cried wolf.
Mm-hmm.
And they've really stopped paying attention to his predictions or what he says regarding timeframes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's understandable given what's transpired over the last 10 years with FSD. Right. But eventually he will be right. And we will have unsupervised FSD. We'll have driverless robotaxis. And I'm on the camp that I think it's probably going to be sooner than what these numbers reflect.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But you never know. It could be wrong. It could take a couple more iterations of FSD versions to get us there.
Sure. And Cern, one of the other things that I've been saying, and maybe I'll get your opinion on this, is that once it once it's working, let's say in Austin, with minor potential, times for safety checking, once it's working in Austin, once it's turned on in Austin, let's just call it that, the safety rider is out. It's people are driving around without a rider, without a safety rider at all, or as Brian White likes to call it, a safety hitchhiker. Um, that once it's done in one place, we know it's kind of done everywhere. Once the stats are in that show that it's significantly better than a human driver, it seems like it's kind of almost a switch is thrown. It's not like, oh, okay, well now that'll allow us, to put out 25 more cars. I mean, no, it should say, okay, now we can we can just turn it on.
I think that's mostly correct. I do think that there are some areas, some cities that they're going to have to do some validation work in those cities, or they will want to just to assure themselves. It's not
Oh,
just a matter of, unlocking the fleet everywhere.
right.
I think that gets more likely over time, right? You spend a ton of time validating Austin. You spend a little bit less validating Houston and Dallas, right? El Paso, etc. San Antonio and other big cities in Texas. And
Mhm.
then you spend a lot of time validating in the Bay Area, and then expanding in California becomes a little easier, perhaps.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then over time, you might, expand into 3 states at one time because they're all very similar in many ways.
Right.
So, it's a process, and the question is how quickly can they work through that? I think that they'll accelerate through that over time, but in the near term, I think it's still going to be kind of measured and slow, which is really what we want. We want them to be careful.
Of
We
course.
don't want Tesla to have a problem that causes people to say robotaxis are not safe.
Sure.
That would be the worst thing that can happen.
Sure. I think
Yeah.
one of the interesting things will be how annoying they're not.
Yeah.
So it's one thing if they're safe. The public will ultimately forgive even a fatal accident. I mean, yeah, will it be a setback? Will the stock go down? Of course it will. But they'll forgive it over time because if the overall record is right, people are not stupid. They may be dumb, but they're not stupid. So, but if they're annoying, which is what's happening with Waymo, I mean, it appears that Waymos are just annoying communities, right and left. If Teslas are less annoying, I think that'll be helpful.
Yeah. And the other thing I think we've seen with Waymo too is because they've got all those bits and bobs on the car,
Yeah,
they're advertising basically to people that, hey, this is a robotic vehicle. It doesn't blend in with all the other
yeah,
vehicles.
yeah,
Whereas a Model Y, or that drives by, that just looks like any other vehicle. Most people don't even notice there's no driver. Now, I suppose it's different with cybercabs. I mean, those are kind of designed to stand out.
right.
If they weren't gold, I'm not sure people would notice them. But if they're all going to be gold, you know, so we'll have to see how people accept that, or whether people start to mess with them.
Right, right.
Right? How many Dan O'Dowds are there out there that just want to jump in front of these things and see if they stop? You know?
Yep, yep.
So, um, and then back to JC again. He's featured twice in this video. But I thought this comment was nice. So JC is an Uber driver
Okay.
by choice. He's retired, but he drives an Uber. And he says, I attended a live stream of some Uber drivers last night. They're most definitely aware of Tesla's Robotaxi and more immediately Waymo, especially in Central Texas. But they're talking about it all over the country.
Mhm.
And he said, but here's the funny part. They aren't hating on Robotaxi or Waymo. They know it's inevitable.
Hmm.
They get it. All of the folks in the live stream were reminding the others that you have to look at Uber and Lyft as gig work, and do what you need to do right now to set things up for the future, to use Uber for your benefit, not the other way around. One of them even mentioned, I'm waiting on Tesla to sell that Model 2 thing. I'm going to buy some. I know exactly where to put them and what to do with them.
Yeah.
All right. So all of these Uber drivers sort of can't wait until they can become, fleet owners.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
That certainly fits my analysis. I mean, this is what I would think they would think. Why not have exactly the same income while I'm sitting at home watching the football game?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people would opt for that. And then, Randy, last but not least, we'll end with this little cartoon. We use artificial intelligence. Unfortunately, we also use natural stupidity.
Well, yes. So, but it's pretty funny that you bring that up because you and I talked about it a little bit in the green room. These LLMs are these models, as they're now called, these frontier models, are still very liberal, given their own devices. And even Grok, I put a post up yesterday where I asked Elon, I said, "You spending all this money?" I didn't say it this way. I'm saying a completely different way, but basically, you're spending all this money. You want to set up a new party to win seats for the Republicans. You're credited with winning the election for Trump, and yet your LLM, your model, is decidedly liberal every single time I use it for anything political or financial. And yesterday, I specifically went in on a story I'd seen to get verification, which was that Trump was now at the same or better in terms of his numbers as both Biden and Obama were at the same time in their administrations. And Grok says, "No way. Trump is down around 40, and these guys were up around 46." And I said, "Well, how come?" And he mentioned Gallup as his leading a source. And I asked Grok, I said, "Why are you using Gallup when there are at least 3 polls that are far more accurate than Gallup based on the analysis post 2016, 2020, 2024? There was an analysis done who were the very best." And so I asked the question, Grok came back, and Grok goes, "Ha ha, you're right." So I've now actually prompted Grok. I said, "Look, I don't want just Fox News. I want a balanced information. So please, from now on, you've got memory. From now on, please give me whatever you want to from the left, but I want also some balanced news from the right side of the aisle." And we'll see if Grok does that. But I would think, Elon, that this would be like top of his list to get solved with regard to Grok.
Well, it's not so easy when you train on the data that's on the internet.
But why couldn't you give the same prompt I just did?
Well,
Unless people say otherwise, give them a balanced response.
sure. Yeah, good point. Yeah. And I had a similar experience actually this weekend. I was looking at the risk factors for Tesla. So in their 10K, 10Q, I think as well, they list the risk factors for the stock. And there's I don't know, 10, 12 pages of risk factors, right?
Yeah.
And I was asking Gemini, ChatGPT, and Grok to summarize them for me and give its opinion on what were the greatest ones or the top risk factors, right? And Gemini came back with kind of a narrative around it. Like for one, for example, it was talking about new products, and it was mentioning about the disastrous rollout of the Cybertruck. Like it felt the need to comment on facts, right? It could have just said the Cybertruck sales were lower than expected or whatever, but it decided to expand on that and label it, right?
Yeah, and or the best-selling electric truck in the United States by a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And it did this basically every chance it had.
Wow.
Right. And so Gemini was terrible in that regard. And normally I find Gemini to be fantastic, but in this particular task, it must be programmed to just hammer Elon every chance it gets. Right. Grok actually also suffered from some of the same challenges, not nearly as bad, but it also had sort of some unwanted commentary as it related to some of the information it was giving me.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't really ask it for, that commentary, although I did ask it for what it thought was the top risk factors.
Right. Right.
But I didn't ask it for the commentary around it. And I would say that ChatGPT actually did the best job in terms of giving me just the facts.
Interesting.
Yeah.
No, I find that Grok commonly on political or financial matters commonly also will give basically opinion that is not even close. In this particular case, it did. It gave opinion of why Trump was down. I didn't ask any whys. I just said, What are the numbers? What are the facts?
Yeah.
And, but it felt the need to say, well, of course, Trump is not doing as well as the other two because of this and that. And I thought, no, it's like, so I just, again, it's one thing. On one level, it's interesting that the AIs are still giving us opinion and slanted opinion or whatever. It's, I think, another level of interesting that Elon spending 400 million or whatever it was on the last election and so angry about what was going on in DC that he wants to start a new party, can't fix his own program, because right now this would be working against interest.
Yeah.
This would be creating potential arguments for the the party that he's not particularly wanting to help.
Well, there's no doubt all these issues will be fixed. To me, this sort of feels like, the early days of the internet and how terrible it was, but yet how exciting it was too, in terms of we could see what was coming. Now, in that case, it took, quite a few years for the internet to really mature, right? This is happening on a time frame, I think, that's a lot more accelerated, right? Think about where the LLMs were just a year ago.
Right.
Right. Was Grok even in the picture last year? If it was barely.
Yeah, just barely, maybe. Yeah.
Right. And then, of course, now with the new Colossus AI data center training center coming up online, 500,000 H100 equivalents, and then doubling that in 2026 to 1 million.
I know. Crazy.
Right. So I think they know the solution to some of these issues. And so, perhaps in a year, maybe two, some of these things or all these things that we see now that we have problems with, I think, get ironed out.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. But again, Elon, I know you watch when Cern's on, probably not the rest of the time, but at least when Cern's on. So I'm making another plea. This should be top of mind. You don't spend 400 million to solve a problem and then just let this one fester. Makes no sense.
Good point. Yep.
All right. Well, sir, we'll end it there, and we'll do another show. This is Thursday night. This will be out on Thursday night, the one we're doing now. Probably the other one will be out on Saturday morning, it'd be my guess. And so, folks, you can look forward to more Servant Basher. And,
Just to tease the next show, Randy,
yeah.
we're going to talk about why NVIDIA has a flawed strategy.
Okay. NVIDIA has a flawed strategy. Wow. Well, given the news around NVIDIA the last couple of days, I'll be interested to learn. So that'll be exciting. So there you go. That's for probably Saturday morning. All right. Thanks, Cern. As always, it's great to have you on. And to all of you out there, it's been great talking to you.
Thanks, Randy.